Outlook is a powerful platform or application which allows you to, it's also it's known as a personal, not a group, a personal information manager. Now, yesterday I mentioned that we're now moving into the apps, and we started yesterday. That is all part of the collaboration process of Microsoft 365, especially the business version of it. Lots of collaboration because you have people in your team, one or two, or 20 or 30 or 80, doesn't matter. You can collaborate and work together. And that's exactly why we want the apps, because to work together as a team, to share, to know what everybody does. And I see that, guys, nearly at least one a day, and I'm not joking and even not lying, that people use the family or personal package of Microsoft 365. Nothing wrong with that, nothing, but they cannot with ease collaborate with their team. So we move them over to the business pack. Right, so Outlook is mainly known for email, and that we're going to concentrate on that. Also for the calendar, but we will touch on that, but look into more depth on Friday when we do Teams. Then also contacts and people, it's like the address book. It used to be contacts, it's now called people. And then also the tasks, the to-do, which we will look at this afternoon. So our emphasis will be on the email and what you can do with your email, because we're all stuck in lists and lots and huge inboxes, aren't we? Now, there's a desktop version of Microsoft Outlook. You all know about that. Those of you who use it knows about it. But we used to use the classic version of Microsoft Outlook. Perfect, fine, work like a charm. But there is a new Outlook available. There's a lot of confusion about this. Then there's also the online version. Once you have your Microsoft 365 package, personal or business, you have access to the online version with all the apps that you have part of your package. There's also a free version of Microsoft 365, totally free, with a couple of handy apps, but it's only available online, which is no big deal and actually a very, very good option. Then, and this is where the confusion comes in, then there's also a version on the newer laptops, especially with Windows 11, Microsoft Outlook for Windows. So people tend to start using Microsoft Outlook for Windows. There's lots of similarities, but what I would advise you to do if you want to go over to the new Outlook. Now, you know how it is. We are so used to the classic version. Now we have to go for a newer version. It looks a bit different. The using of it is pretty much the same. And people are so resistant to change in general. And I must admit, I love new stuff and I love change on applications, but I was also a little bit, oh my goodness, this doesn't sound like and look like I'm gonna like this. The features in the new Outlook is amazing. And for me as a trainer to teach people and to make people aware of the newer settings, the newer features, is absolutely, I love it. Because many things like rules, it's in the classic version, it's in the new version, but it's far more accessible and user-friendly in the new version. So for me, that makes me excited because I can show people to move along, to start using rules, which is so helpful for them. And I will explain that to you. So let me just go out of the presentation and let me go and show you what I mean by classic. This is the classic version. I'm pretty sure those of you who use Outlook will be very familiar with this. But then right on the top, in the top right-hand corner, there's an option, try the new Outlook. You don't have to. Microsoft, they are going to discontinue the classic version. So you need to move ahead slowly. Don't go for the Microsoft Windows new Outlook. Go for, in your classic Outlook, go and switch on your new Outlook. Please be aware, if you have if you have more than one email address set up in your classic Outlook, you may lose the second and the third email addresses. If it's on an IMAP or Exchange, no big deal. It lives on the server and it will just pull in once you set it up again. You need a password. But if it's on a POP account, you need to make a backup first. And especially on your calendar, calendars only live on the computer. So you need to export the PST file. If I'm talking things that you're not aware of now, you have my details. Contact me via Elmarie or Paulina, or contact me directly and I can guide you in that process, because I'm not saying you have to move along to the new Outlook, but somehow you have to get there. And hopefully after today, you would love to move ahead. Let me go back to my presentation. I have one or two more slides that I want to share with you. So that's what that looks like, the online version. So I'm going to use the online version today, because the online version is very, very similar to the new desktop version of moving from classic to new. And it's also very similar to the Outlook for Windows. Very, very similar. And that's why it's all in white. Those are all very related to one another. So I'll be using that. Very important about Outlook. Classic, new, doesn't matter. But especially the new, because it's just more user-friendly and more visible to you. Not all, many of the apps in the Microsoft 365 package are integrated in one another, and we'll start to showing you this as we go along with all the apps. But let's start with Microsoft Outlook. So over here, and I'll show it to you in real life as well, but you even have your OneDrive, which is your cloud-based storage, as an app button in Outlook. So you don't have to leave Outlook and then open OneDrive, sorry. You don't have to leave. In Outlook, you just click on that button and you can add a couple of extra applications on the left-hand bar, and that makes it so much more accessible, saving us time. I mean, really, guys, this is the way to go in the future. So there they are, all being highlighted there for you, but I'll show it to you in real time because this is a demonstration. Then the very good news is Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft Teams, both 365 applications. Teams we do on Friday. Their calendars are the same thing. So once you enter an event or a presentation, once you schedule it in Outlook, it will show up in Teams calendar. When you set it up in Teams, it will show up in Outlook. Both extremely integrated with one another, as many other Microsoft 365 apps. I'm going to try my utmost. I should make it, because it's a demo, so I can go a little bit faster. I'm going to show you the ribbons, the folders, the categories, the conditional formatting, the rules, the BCC, the pins, the favorites, the density, the work hours, the reading pane, the conversational view, and in any case, many of these are all can be found in settings. So here I go. Here I go. I go to the online version of Microsoft 365. And of course, as mentioned so many times, I am sharing, yes, I am. As mentioned so many times, you go to the platform, the homepage of Microsoft 365, www.microsoft365.com. This is your landing page, this is your homepage, and it is on home at the moment. And once you get to the app launcher in the top right-hand corner, left-hand corner, by the way, you will find all the apps that we've been dealing with, a couple of them. I think today is session number 12 of 21, so we're moving ahead. And they're all available for you to go and watch if you want afterwards. But there is our famous Microsoft Outlook. So here I go. I actually have it already open, but I'm just going to close that. Let's just move that out of the way. There you go. This is Microsoft Outlook. And as I said, I'm using the online version because it's very, very similar to the new version. And I thought I will just leave this to you or use this. And if you use a free Microsoft 365 account, you also have Outlook. Good news. Before I carry on with that, I just want to show you what that client meant by using, oh my goodness, where do I have that open here? They are using, she said, remember I mentioned to you right in the beginning of the session, they use Gmail and not Outlook, but they have a Gmail address. It's very confusing, but we eventually sorted out very soon actually that they're using the Gmail interface on the web, whether you use it in Edge or Google Chrome, which is ideal. And this is then what it looks like. Composing an email and so forth. The principle, guys, are exactly the same, but you won't use your Gmail interface if you don't have a Gmail address, which is also not fully true. But because you can use Google Workspace, which is very, very similar in the sense of relating to business applications than the Microsoft 365 apps. So you can either use Google interface or Microsoft interface. Google interface will, of course, be mostly online and not all the features that we use in the Microsoft versions are available. So we concentrate on the Microsoft versions. Right, so let's start. First of all, on the top right-hand corner over here, I hope you can see there's a Copilot button. That is tomorrow afternoon. I can't wait to show you. Can't wait to show you. Not many people use this, by the way, yet. There is a price component, unfortunately, but I will mention that to you as well. I'll guide you into the process. Not saying you have to use it. But in any case, next to that is a ribbon expander. So you can either use the classic ribbon or you can use the simplified version. Once you activate your new Outlook, you will be faced with a simplified ribbon. Nearly forgot the terminology there. And then people say, oh no, this looks different. Where are all my buttons? Don't freak out, just calm, relax, and go for the classic ribbon. And there you have it. Yes, it doesn't look exactly the same, but you will find many of your buttons over here. As a matter of fact, the majority of the buttons can be, or the, of the buttons, the functions, can be found on the top right-hand corner, very close to your, actually next to your profile pic if you have one activated. But in any case, that is your account. And next to that, you have the settings button. So we're going to spend quite a couple of minutes on the settings, because the settings, that's where you can activate things like categories, conditional formatting, rules. Now, in the classic version, actually, I'm going to show you this because I'm not lying. When you want to access the settings, look at this. Look at this. Oh my goodness. I hope this is not going to. There you go. You had to go to File and then to Options. So it was Options, now it's Settings. And here you are confronted with a lot. Now, okay, we lost some of them, but it's not the important parts. It's not the functionality that you use and that you which can make your life better, you more productive. So, yeah, it's actually no big deal. Me being working with this for very, very long periods of time, don't even miss the ones that they skipped. Definitely not. So, but here they are. And to set up a rule, for example, to do conditional formatting wasn't even properly on the cards. So it's really, really so much user friendly. There's a couple of things that I miss though, but for a user, maybe for a person who set it up, there's a couple of things, but for a user per se, there's not a lot. Just wanted to share that with you. Now let's see what the options now looks like called settings. So on the top right-hand side, wait, wrong app. On the top right-hand side, you'll find settings. And this is what it looks like nowadays. Far more user-friendly, to my opinion. Now let's start with something like auto replies. When you had to set up an auto reply out of Office, it was a couple of clicks in rules, and I promise you today it didn't always work properly. You either had to go set it up in your Exchange, or don't worry if you don't know what it means. Those people who work with that will understand. Or you had to go set it up on your service provider, where you pay them for your monthly fee to host your emails. Right. So on the account in settings in Microsoft Outlook 365, you can turn off or on auto replies, and you can only set it for a certain period of time. You can add, so if you go away on holiday, for example, or if you're out of the office, even like over Easter weekend, that's very good policy to have a out of office reply. And this is where you can set it. You can type your own message. You can even specify, if you have a business account, whether the reply should go outside of your organization. If you off for a day or two, it's actually a good idea to have an auto reply that you can share with your internal staff, with the colleagues but you can also share it with the outside world if you have to. Maybe you don't get that many business emails, mostly internal emails, then that's where that comes to play. But here it is. And you can even have a separate message for the outside organization, for the customers and your clients and your colleagues and your friends, maybe one message, and then your customers another message, which I think is very nifty. Setting something up like signatures was quite tricky, and I'm not trying to sell options towards settings here, guys. I'm being honest. Um, from a training point of view, especially, it was rather tricky to set up a signature in the sense of finding it. But now there is a signature option where you can add a couple of signatures. You can even put in your logo. That was also not that easy. I'm talking a couple years back now. So this is where you can set this up, just here to show you. Then there are categories. Now categories. The question is, let me just move to a new slide there. The question is now, what is a category? So a category is where you organize your mails and where you can tag them. It's a manual thing that you have to do, and you can color coordinate. So when you receive emails from certain people or certain organizations, and you want to be make aware of it, it needs to stand out. You can categorize your emails. We will also look at something conditional formatting. which is a different option that you have. So let's say you're very busy. You are. I know you are. You attend a lot of meetings or training sessions. So you have really limited time to look at your inbox and go through the most important ones. Because, guys, whatever we do, and I'll show you a method, whatever we do, we get junk. And it's actually not a good idea to even respond to that by unsubscribing, which they normally don't have. So you honestly don't have time to go through the whole inbox, all 50 emails that came in when you arrive at work 8 o'clock and you have a 9 o'clock meeting. So you can categorize and you can apply conditional formatting to those emails so that it stands out in your face and you know you have to attend to those. Those are the most important ones. Those are the ones that you need to respond to immediately, maybe from your manager, for example, or a certain client that really, really needs an answer immediately. You know how clients are, and you're willing to attend to them. So you set up either category or conditional formatting. I'm going to show you both, and you can decide which one you want to use where. So when you go to, so how did we go here? How did we get here? We opened Outlook. Top right-hand side is the settings option. Top right. And here we are. On the accounts menu, you have categories. So I'm going to set a category. There are categories, green ones and orange ones, and there are one or two of mine. I removed them all to show it to you. You can delete all of these if you want, or you can use them. I'm going to start with a new rule. What do you want to name this category? So I'm going to name this category Elmarie, right? And I'm going to choose a color, no big deal, but we need it to stand out at least. So we need something like a color. So I'm going to click on save. And then that's it. Let's close and let's go have a look. All the Elmaries, I hope you can see, guys, it's a little bit small. All the Elmarie emails, everything coming from Elmarie. I didn't even have to specify more than just call it Elmarie. All the emails from Elmarie are, oh, where are they? I have so many. All of them has been categorized. Oh, goodness me. So how can I find all the emails from Elmarie? Well, I can either go to the search bar, as always, we're also used to that, or because it's been categorized. Where is that one now? Oh, there's another one. So why didn't it? That's interesting. Okay, but let's go to this one. Let's go to this one. I click on it on the actual category option. That's purple. And it will show me all the emails from Elmarie. A lovely, fast, I don't have to type her email address or type her name. It actually does it for me because it's been labeled, we called, and it's in different categories. There you go. And it will tell you in which folder it is, which I will get to in a minute. That's one way of organizing your emails. Because many of them are in the deleted. Don't know why, because it's all Teams meetings. So once it puts it in the calendar, it tends to put it in the deleted items because we're not really using it anymore. So let's get rid of this category and let's just go back. Let's just go back to the settings and let's go back to accounts and let's go back to category. Now you'll find you can either delete it or you can store it, and that will put it in the favorites. So let's put it in the favorites and let me go show you what I mean by that. On the left-hand side, it's your choice whether you want to have it switched on or off. There's a favorite option. So at this point in time, the arrow is moving or pointing towards the word favorites. To expand that, I have to click on there and it will show me the inbox and the sent items and the drafts. Because guys, as you can see, let me just roll it up again. As you can see, I have quite a couple of folders, and to read through all of them, and they have folders of subfolders. There you go. There you go. So instead of me moving, if I look for something, moving around all the inbox items, I can have my category favorite, and I will find it next to my inbox, my sent items, my drafts. I don't really need this one, so I'm just going to remove that. I don't use that. I don't know where that is coming from. And as easy as that, you can just click on the ellipse, the three dots, and you can remove it from your favorites, as easy as that. You can also go back to settings. Just want to check my time. And you can go back to accounts, back to categories, and you can delete it or you can edit it. And that's all it is. While you create the new category, you can even at this point in time favorite it. So let's go and look at another option that we can use. And that would be from the Vox team. The Vox team is my service provider for my fiber. So I'm just going to call it the Vox team. So now I have to type, which I don't like doing in front of an audience. Settings, accounts, categories, new category or new rule, the Vox team. And AI, believe it or not, will pick up, let's make that green, and let's favorite it, all done in one go. AI will pick up the name, who it's from, and it will categorize it. Oh, it hasn't done it though. Vox account, wait. The Vox team was, where is the Vox team now? The Vox team. Oh, it didn't happen here, but it put it in the favorites there. That's an interesting one. So why didn't that happen? Why didn't that happen? I'll tell you what we'll do. At least one worked. Guys, computers, name. At least one works. I think what we do is the Vox team is announcing the VAT increase. Have you also received 7 million of those? Oh, I'll tell you why. I think I know. It's been marked as not a trust sender, but I receive lots of emails from them. Maybe I only often receive the Vox account. So this time around, it's the Vox team, and Microsoft thinks that it's not a trusted sender. So I'm just going to do trusted sender and see if that makes a difference. It doesn't. So let's just go back. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Let me just, I don't know why this is the case. So I'm just going to remove this and just quickly do it again. The Vox team, and I hope it's going to work. If it doesn't, then we just have to work around that. I'm going to choose a total different color. Once again, going to store it, favorite it. So it's done that, but it has not done it again. Okay. Yo, this is a terrible thing that can happen in a live session, but that is what it is. So we're going to stick with that. At least we had one um, successful, and I'm thinking now, what am I going to do to resolve this? I will most probably put it in the slides. So the slides won't be up today still. It will be tomorrow, but I'll give you a resolution there. I hope there must be a reason for this. Let's not waste any more time. And let's move to categories. So on the presentation, we are on categories conditional formatting. I made you a comparison, here it is, a comparison of the difference between organize in categories and organize in conditional formatting. And a conditional formatting is a little bit more highlighted and you can specify it better. and it will automatically changes your font style or your color. I know you started reading, but this is a slide that I need to give you with lots of detail and actually for in your own time. So I should demonstrate and show it to you. Those of you who attended the PowerPoint, this is now practicing what you not preaching what you not preaching what you're practicing. Practicing what you're not preaching. Oh, you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Let's go show you. There you go. Let's go show you the conditional formatting. And for that, I'm just going to remove I'm going to use Elmarie all the time because I don't want to use some of my other clients and so on. Going to remove the category Elmarie and then rather go to the email on the left-hand side and apply conditional formatting. Now, with conditional formatting, I do not have anything on there. With conditional formatting, I'm going to add a rule. And the rule's name is Elmarie. Can be Elmarie again. Doesn't matter. All the emails from Elmarie should stand out because we are busy with these masterclasses and AI projects. So when I have a break, I need to answer Elmarie as soon as possible because we are working on this and this is quite a big project that we're on. What is the condition? What is the story about setting up conditional formatting? Now, you know, formatting is the bolds and the italics and the reds and the blues and all of those. Center, but it's not going to center it. So I can choose from these. It's the typical old rule for those of you who is used to that. And this one is easy. It's not a subject, which I can do as well. It is a from. So who is this from? My email addresses will pop up. Goodness me, thank you for that because I don't know Elmarie's address that well. Elmarie, and there she goes. There she goes. That's her email address. So what should happen? I need it to be, let's do red. I need it to be red. So what is the difference between category and conditional formatting? You can go and read that slide, but it's just a little bit more visualized. Definitely, that's the basics for that. So let's go and see. Oh, guys, don't drop me now. Don't drop me now. Maybe I must just refresh. I think that might also help. So let's just see. Elmarie, Elmarie, Elmarie. I do get a couple from her. My word, this. Okay, now let's see which email address has been used here. Let's see which email address she has used. Elmarie Clinic with Purpose. Okay, so what I'll do is, I'll rather do the following. I'm going to copy her email address because I honestly don't know what's going on here now. Good. So here we go. We're going to conditional formatting. I'm going to remove that one completely. I'm going to set up a new rule. Call it Elmarie again. There you go. Conditional formatting from, because it's going to be from her. So that makes sense. And then paste that email address instead of choosing it from the list. Because she has two Outlook emails. It's actually one. The one is a long Microsoft one that you set up when you initialize the project. So let's not go there. Okay, then choose the color. So let's do this. And now save. And I'm going to close the rule. There's nothing else I had to do. Just double checking on that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now those emails are standing out. And when I rushing through presentations, I can just go scroll down and all the Elmaries will be there. There you go. There you go. All the Elmaries will be in red. But I can even add another condition on Elmarie. So let's just edit it and add another condition. What can that be? That can be with a certain subject. So let's just go and choose DT application. So I want to go for that. DT application, conditional formatting. Right, so the next condition will be with certain subjects. So all the emails from Elmarie is not that important, but the ones with DT application, those ones I need to attend to immediately. Let's say application. I think it was applications, right? Only those ones should be read. Nothing to save? Nope, nothing to save. So close. Now I can save. Yes, you go. Aha, DT application, DT project. So sometimes we have to see about that. But all the DT applications will now be formatted, condition on a condition, and not everything from Elmarie. So that's the difference, guys, between those two. Okay, let me just go back to my list, folders and rules. You have your inbox and you have drafts and sent items, as you know. But if you click on the ellipse next to inbox, for those of you not aware of this, you can create a subfolder. And this is a lovely way to organize your Outlook. So you can go for that. And I'm just going to call this Elmarie DT. There you go. DT, I will know what that stands for. Make sure you click on the tick, otherwise it won't save it. Couldn't create this folder. Okay, well, this is a very nice session. I'm just going to call it problem. Let's see if that can work. Okay, problem works. That's exactly what it is. So there are problems. So we're going to go to the settings and to the email and to the rules. Now, there's a lot of similarity between conditional formatting and rule and categories, because it's all rules that we're creating. This should happen on this condition, or when you find this. Make it bold, make it red, whatever. So we're going to add another rule, and this one is going to be problems. So that's what we're dealing with today. The condition will be from a certain person to a certain person when I'm in the CC. So you have many more options here than you had in conditional formatting. So importance, flagging, has attachments. Okay, so now we have to be very mindful. So if you don't mind, I'm going to choose Elmarie again and paste that. That's still in my memory and my computer's memory. So what is the rule here? The rule is to move those emails where to? To this problem. I don't see the problem new folder I've created. So I'm just going to choose, I can even create a new one here. I'm just going to choose move to a folder, and then it should show me all the folders, let's hope. With today's luck, I mean, honestly, oh, there are so many folders. I have too many folders. That you can also have too many. You can also have too many folders. Problems, problems, problems. Why is it not here now? Tell me what I'll do. I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't know why it's not here. Maybe it's, aha, there it is. There it is. It was just not sorted yet, because you can do that as well. So it should move it to problems. It can even do some other things with you as well, but let's stick with that. We can always come back if that is necessary, then if we have more time. Then we can run the rule now. So please bear in mind, everything from Elmarie, everything in my inbox with that email address. She also has a Gmail address. I thought actually in the beginning it was she by accident used that email address. So I want to have all the emails from Elmarie move to the problems new created subfolder, and it must run that rule now. I just hope it's not going to take too long. So let's save it and let's see. Let's see. That was quick. I hope it does it. Okay, so let's see. Problems, there they go. There they come. One is conditional formatted already, the one with the DT application. That seems to be the only one with the DT application. Okay, guys, I do organize Almary's emails in folders. Those are the ones that I didn't get around doing yet. As you can see, a rule to set up. So instead of you going through your inbox, create a new folder and move them manually, which you can do, you can set up a rule and the rule will do that. Please just bear in mind. If you don't need all the emails as they arrive to go to the problems folder, you need to go switch off the rule. So it's a very convenient rule to have to quickly sort your inbox. But if you first want Elmarie to land in your inbox, then you need to go and switch off that rule. You need to go switch it off. And you don't have to switch it off permanently. You can run it at a later stage again. You can just switch it off like that. You don't have to delete it completely, which you can also do. So that is the difference, briefly demonstrated, between categories, conditional formatting, and rules, all set up in your settings, which used to be options. I hope that's going to help you. Right. Next on. Now, what can we do with those emails that comes in all the time and it doesn't help to unsubscribe? They might not even have an unsubscribe button. What you can do with them, hopefully, and I have one here, I have many, I suppose, because I don't always get around removing them. I have one here. I actually left it to show you. Right, so why is my inbox is still trying to find all Elmarie's emails. Maybe it was not that good an idea. Okay, I have one here that's been forwarded, if you don't mind me using a personal one, that's been forwarded to my dad. He passed away and he has an email address, but instead of me going to check for emails all the time, I had it forwarded, also a rule setup. So I'm just going to grab his email address, and because I have those emails in a separate email profile, I'm just going to, let's say that was spam. Sorry, Dad. Let's say that was spam. So I just go to my rules and I'm going to, okay, now they always send it from different email addresses. That's why it's no use to, oh, I know which one I had set out for us. All these problems now really got me off track a little bit. So I have one here. Do you always also get it? The tender. Please tender for this. Please tender for that. I left it here. Could I have... Oh no, please, please, please. It should be here. It was not deleted. I don't want to go... Okay, let's just take my dad then. So let's say that is an email that you get. With the tender process, the subject is always the same. So it's no use putting up a rule with that email address like I'm going to do now. So you're going to go to Settings, Rules, create a new rule, call the rule junk if you want, or tenders. Really? I don't have time to delete it all the time. I actually don't want to see it because it just makes me furious. So with a certain subject, so you will choose when the subject include tender, there's a certain wording for it. They always use that. They always use it. If they start using other wording, you can set up another rule with that. But instead of doing the subject, I'm just going to do from, put my dad's email address there. And what is the action? The action is to delete it. Action is to delete it or to mark it as junk. I can't see the action delete. Oh, there's the action delete. Pardon me, guys. Yes. So I'm just going to go save. It doesn't allow me now to run the rule. That's quite interesting. Okay. So at least from now onwards, I must just remember to go and switch this off. From now onwards, it will delete emails with either or an email address, which is no use for certain junk, but then definitely with certain a certain subject. You can also, but be very careful. You can also put in certain words that often appears in an email. But what if those words also appear in important emails? Guys, I have to mention to you, when you set up rules, it's a fantastic option, but be very, very careful that you don't put anything there that you really, really eventually need. So there it is. Tenders, I call it tenders. It's my dad's email address, and it won't do it now, but it will do it from the new emails on forward. And the reason for that, I'm not particularly sure why, but as you could see with the previous setup, there was run the rule now, and now there's no option for that. So you still have to go and um, do it manually for those that are already there, but you can also do a search and so on. Cool. So let's see. Right. Density. Let's move away from this. There's only a couple of menus on the new Outlook. As with the classic Outlook, there's a lot of menus. But one of the menus that's quite handy is the view. And this is where you will find the old send and receive. It's called sync. And then there's also a density. So let's see what that entails. The density, you can have roomy, you can have cozy. Let me just move that a little bit to the side. So let's show you again. You can have roomy, you can have cozy. Can you see the difference? And you can have compact. Many people still prefer this because this is what it used to look like in classic. So as you can see, it leaves no room for anything to read. It really just lists all the mails. And cozy gives you a little bit more on that. And then roomy will give you even with an icon on the left-hand side. Your choice. On the view tab, you can change it. Also on the view tab, you will have your folder pane. Your folder pane, you can switch off or hide this favorite list, all depending on if you have a couple of email addresses on your Outlook. I would definitely recommend favorites because then you can favorite each of those email addresses inbox at least. And you don't have to scroll down forever and you won't miss most probably also any emails coming in. You will have it listed inbox, 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 and it will specify which inbox it has. And you can also pin favorites, but it is pinned or it's actually not pinned. There's no difference in that. Then also on your folder pane, you can have your folder list on the left-hand side to show. I don't know how you're going to do it without that. So that's definitely not something. And you can sort your folders here. Then on the reading pane, that's the other one that I want to show you. You can have your reading pane on the right-hand side. We are used to quite a couple of years back to have let me just show this as compact. There you go. This is pretty much as we are been used to it a couple of years back. All the emails here with the reading pane, with the actual email, with the content at the bottom. Or you can have the reading pane on the right-hand side. We are pretty much used to that with the last couple of years. Or there are people, I don't know how they do that, but you can do that, guys. I mean, it's your computer. It's hidden. So it only has all the emails and you have to double click to actually read the email. What a nice email this is, a proof of a payment. I mean, we all like that, don't we? Cool. So let's just move away from that. Okay. Let me just minimize this one. There you go. Let's just move that out of the way. What is left? The reading pane. Oh, the conversational view. Now, there are people that prefer conversation view. And for that, you also go to the view tab and you can have it grouped in conversations. Now, When you get an email in your inbox and you reply to it, and they reply to that one, and you reply to that, and they reply to that one, you can have those grouped as a conversation that you're having. Or you can, I don't like that personally, it's me. You can have it grouped into conversations. I think it's gonna, let me just cancel there you go. You can have it grouped. Let me just try that again. Oh, it is grouped. There you go. So you can see, let me just try and find something. Okay, so here's a client that let me know she's paid me. She won't mind if I show you. So here are the 3 emails regarding that, as you can see. So she sent it to me, I sent back, she sent it back, and I send it back. So it's 3 emails, 5 emails going three from her and 2 to her. And it's showing it in a group. If I switch off the conversation mode, how's our time? I have to finish. Then it will show each and every email separate. Each and every one of that. Pin. I have to show you pins. Let me just go to a Roomy view. There you go. And let me just switch on my reading pane to the right. There you go. Now, if there are some emails, and this is super handy, some emails that is important to you, but you cannot attend to them now, you can either flag them, which we had for a long time, but a fairly new option, especially in the new Outlook, is to pin it. So let's pin my dad's. Let's keep on using that one. So when I pin my dad's, it will go above where my inbox starts. So don't have too many pins, because then your inbox only starts at page number 70. But these ones are for me because I have to attend to them. Now, by the way, this one is my annual renewal of my insurance. And that's been there, pinned, since the 8th month of last year. And I have not yet attended to it. So I think I should unpin it now. I wanted to go through the policy, but I did not yet. And the others are pinned because I need to attend to it, or read about it, or answer them properly, or send them a quote, or whatever the case may be. So I pinned it. That helps me tremendously, I must admit. And then last but not least, working hours. So this you get in your business version. This is also fairly new. There on settings and on your calendar, so we're now dealing with one thing at least in the calendar, there are your working hours. So you can set up which days you work and which hours you work, and whether you work in the office or remotely. And that will help your colleagues with calendar sharing quite a lot, because then they can see whether you are available or not, or whether they can, but obviously pulls through to the calendar. But yeah, this is quite a handy one. Get a handle on your week and help others plan meetings with you. So on the calendar side, when they look at the shared calendar, they can see, yes, you are at work, but you're working from home, or you're working from the office, or remotely, wherever that location is. So people in my organization, that's all being part of the business pack, sharing the same domain. They can view any location, or they can't. They can view general, or they can view absolutely all the details, hours, location, anything, and you can specify it there. And that's of course just for people within your organization. That's me. I think there's only one that I didn't do, and that's perfectly okay, because I do think that you already know about that. And that's just the CC and the BCC. But that's okay. The BCC is for many people that you send an email to, that's only for them.